I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, the damage is done, but more's on the way. Though Hurricane Melissa is weakened, the threat isn't over yet. We hear from the Catholic charity helping out on the ground. The U.S. Senate votes to block a move by President Trump, why they say it's for the farmers. A Louisiana woman is suing, saying she was forced to take an abortion pill. We speak to her lawyer. Plus, another papal publication. We take a look at the new apostolic letter from the Pope and tell you what he calls one of the highest expressions of Christian charity. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us. Our top story tonight: after slamming into Jamaica and Cuba, Hurricane Melissa is now heading towards the Bahamas, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Here's the latest look at its trajectory. Right now, it's still a Category 2 hurricane. Tomorrow morning, it will move into the open ocean. So far, at least 20 people have been killed. The storm's winds have knocked out power, and the torrential rainfall has brought flooding to Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. Despite weakening, it still had sustained winds of 100 miles per hour today. Recovery and cleanup efforts are underway, and officials are assessing the damage. Joining us now is Robert Panett Jr. He's the regional leader of the Caribbean for Cross Catholic Outreach. Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Can you please share with us what it's like right now on the ground in Jamaica?
The situation is quite difficult, as been reported in the news. The devastation is quite big. The landfall, it made landfall exactly in the western part of the country where we currently have ministry partners. We have unfortunately not yet been able to establish contact with them. The last contact we had was a little bit before landfall. So we've been relying on the local news, and unfortunately the images that we've been able to gather so far are not very encouraging.
With power outages, people going to shelters, and of course evacuating, it is difficult to establish those on-the-ground communications. But just kind of looking forward, what do you think the biggest need might be for people in these first few days after the storm?
Our first response is to try to provide food. We're mobilizing that, medicine also. We can imagine that with the water, the storm surge that have happened, we're going to be attentive to any vector-borne like mosquitoes, dengue, chikungunya, these types of things that could happen. So we are mobilizing with that. We're trying to establish, as I said, contact with them.
Tell us a little bit more about Cross Catholic Outreach and how you're providing help physically and also spiritually for people in these kinds of situations.
Definitely. So, we have a long-standing history of supporting priests, nuns, and lay leaders throughout the world. We've been supporting the Diocese of Mandeville with micro-enterprise initiatives. We've been supporting them also with housing program. We've been supporting the Franciscan sisters also with their medicine outreach. So these are things that are definitely going to be needed in the next few weeks. Our motive is always assisting the poor, being alongside them. And Matthew 25 said that, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you provide me water." And this is what we want to do for the people of Jamaica and also for the rest of the islands that have been impacted.
Robert Panett Jr., thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
And if you would like to help Cross Catholic Outreach in their mission, head to their website, crosscatholic.org. More than 100 are dead in Gaza in what has become the deadliest day since the start of the ceasefire. Today, reports say at least 104 people have been killed, including children, after airstrikes overnight by Israel. We reported last night that Israel ordered, quote, powerful strikes in Gaza, accusing Hamas of firing at Israeli soldiers and refusing to return bodies of hostages. Despite the attacks, the ceasefire is still in place. In just hours, President Donald Trump is expected to hold a closely watched meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in South Korea. President Trump says it will be a great meeting for both. Before that critical event takes place, the United States and Korea advanced their trade talks during President Trump's visit to the country. There were other big headlines as well. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Veronica, President Donald Trump calls it a great trip, adding he's bringing back trillions of dollars to the USA. And in South Korea, there was $350 billion at stake, money that would be invested in the American economy. President Donald Trump greeted by South Korea's president on the last stop of his Asia trip. Trade talks advancing, progress made. At a dinner honoring visiting leaders from major Pacific Rim economies, President Trump revealing,
"We had a tremendous meeting today with South Korea. I think the meeting a lot was determined, very much determined, and we made our deal. We pretty much finalized a trade deal."
During his visit, President Trump received South Korea's highest honor, awarded to him in recognition of his efforts to fulfill peace on the Korean Peninsula. As for peace in Gaza, which he discussed on Air Force One, he warned Hamas,
"They have to behave. They're on the rough side, but they said they would be good, and if they're good, they're going to be happy, and if they're not good, they're going to be terminated. Their lives will be terminated."
Another headline, the president tried to put to rest talk of a third term.
It's a very interesting thing. I have the best numbers for any president in many years, any president. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad.
And soon in South Korea, President Trump meeting with China's president, the two largest economies in an escalating trade war, with Washington imposing high tariffs and tightened technology controls. China retaliating with curbs on rare earth shipments. Still, the president optimistic.
President Xi of China is coming tomorrow here, and we're going to be, I hope, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both. And that's really a great result.
Also tonight, President Trump will not be meeting with North Korea's leader on this trip. And separately, a deal with China to put TikTok under American ownership could be finalized tomorrow. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
While President Trump is in Asia touting tariffs and progress on trade agreements, the U.S. Senate is pushing back on some of those policies. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle voted to nullify the national emergency Trump declared in order to impose 50% tariffs on most Brazilian goods back in July. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales has more. Eric.
Good evening, Veronica. The legislation led by Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia passed with 5 Republicans joining all Democrats to terminate the president's sweeping tariffs on Brazilian imports, items such as coffee, soybeans, and even beef. The vote is a turning point for the Trump administration. While congressional Republicans have largely declined to rein in the president, the vote reveals an underlying discontent with his plan on tariffs.
While the president is overseas right now negotiating with a lot of countries to be able to open up trade there with those countries, and as he has tariffs in his pocket as part of that negotiation, I don't want other countries overseas to be able to see the United States Senate undercutting the president.
Most Senate Republicans appear to agree with President Trump on tariffs. The policy was further emphasized by Vice President J.D. Vance, who attended a luncheon with GOP senators where he said the administration's trade plans are very successful. But some think the administration's 50% tariff on products from Brazil is too much and is a gut punch to American growers.
Brazil needs to be tariffed, if not for one thing, for our farmers. I mean, they're absolutely flooding our country with cotton, soybeans, corn, any kind of meat. We're on the verge of collapse in this country with our farming.
Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, one of those who voted with Democrats, adds,
tariffs are actually hurting companies that actually want to reshore or bring things back to the U.S. But I hear that across Kentucky. I think every business interest that's come up to me in the last 6 months has told me that the tariffs are hurting their business.
Democrats say the president is acting like a king, and what he's doing is illegal.
He thinks that he can raise tariffs just on people because he doesn't like them. Or that he can put a tariff on Brazil. That was the one that came up yesterday.
Or Canada, raise
Exactly,
more in Canada?
because he's insulted by an ad that they ran in Canada. You know, that's just wrong.
Most of my Republican colleagues that support tariffs support targeted tariffs. That's not what the president is doing here. And that's why Republicans, vote after vote, are showing up and saying no more, including a vote last night that said, no, Mr. President, we're going to speak up and we're going to block these.
More tariff-related votes to block President Trump's efforts are coming up in the Senate, including one to prevent more tariffs on Canadian goods. But these measures are unlikely to ever come up for a vote in the Republican-controlled House. By the way, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said last month that Trump's tariff policy is one of several factors that are expected to increase jobless rates, inflation, and lower overall growth in the year. As for the government shutdown, it continues as both sides are digging in for a much longer fight. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
Senator Josh Hawley is demanding answers after the FDA quietly approved a new abortion drug identical to mifepristone without transparency or safety testing.
I've received no explanation to date as to why the FDA would approve on a generic, at a elevated pace, at a expedited timeline, a drug that is under serious safety review, or supposed to be, that is associated with these heightened medical risks.
Earlier today, Senator Hawley called on the FDA to follow the science and conduct the safety review for the newly approved drug and to stop approving generic versions of drugs that cause significant health risks. Louisiana has filed a case against the Food and Drug Administration calling for an end to the mailing of the abortion pill mifepristone. In 2021, the FDA relaxed regulations regarding the distribution of the pill, not requiring in-person visits. The Attorney General argues that this places women like Rosalie Markish at risk. Rosalie says she was forced to take the pill by her boyfriend, who obtained the drug via mail. Louisiana protects life through all 9 months and has classified the pill as a controlled substance requiring an in-person visit to obtain the pill. Gabriella McIntyre, legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom Center for Life, joins us now to discuss this case. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So first, can you tell us Rosalie's story and how she obtained the abortion pill through the mail?
So in 2023, Rosalie found out that she was pregnant, and she was thrilled. She was overjoyed. And her boyfriend initially was on the same page. They had decided they were going to raise the baby together. And then, as she describes, he flipped a switch. He decided he no longer wanted to keep the baby, and he pressured her to take abortion drugs in order to end the life of their child. And initially, Rosalie had refused, but he went online and he ordered, at the click of a few buttons, abortion drugs from a doctor in California and had them sent directly to her home without her consent. And one night she found herself in the car with him discussing the matter, and he became very angry. He abruptly pulled the car over, started shouting at her, exhibited some very unpredictable behavior. And Rosalie, unfortunately, has a history of domestic abuse. And so she knew the signs of an unpredictable man, and she felt terrified. And so she came up with a plan to swallow both of the drugs at the same time, the mifepristone and the misoprostol that came in the package, and hopefully try to get to a bathroom to vomit up the drugs before they could take effect. Unfortunately, the timing was such that by the time she got to the bathroom and was able to escape from her boyfriend, she wasn't able to vomit up the drugs, and she shortly thereafter lost her baby.
How does this case fit into Louisiana's fight for life?
So you would expect, after the Dobbs decision that gave the decision back to the states and their elected representatives of how to regulate abortion, and after that law went into effect, you would expect that there would be approaching zero abortions in the state of Louisiana with such strong pro-life protections. But instead, the Society of Family Planning's We Count report that was released earlier this year shows that abortions in Louisiana have actually increased since the Dobbs decision to almost about 800 abortions just by this mail order scheme in December of 2024 alone.
What are you hoping comes from this case, and what are the implications this decision could have on the fight for life in other states?
We are hoping that taking away the mail order abortion drug scheme that was put in place by that 2023 action will then allow states like Louisiana to be able to enforce their pro-life laws and save children in their states, and also to protect women like Rosalie in their states from this very sinister scheme.
Gabriella McIntyre, legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom Center for Life. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. Another papal document. Pope Leo signs an apostolic letter about what he says is one of the highest expressions of Christian charity. We have details and analysis. And Battle of the Exorcists, we speak to a priest featured in a new documentary about exorcisms. His second papal document since his election. The apostolic letter commemorates the 60th anniversary of the Church's declaration on Catholic education. EWTN Vatican journalist Benedict Sedegrin tells us more about the old and new document.
When writing Gravissimum Educationis, the Second Vatican Council's declaration on Catholic education in 1965, Pope St. Paul VI recognized the growing need to form young people not only in knowledge and skill, but in wisdom, virtue, and faith. This formation takes place not only in schools and universities, but also at home, the Pope said, calling the family the first school of social virtues that every society needs. At its core, the declaration underscores that every person has a fundamental right to education, and that the Church should guide and support this formation when it can. 60 years later, the document has not lost its force. Marking both the start of the academic year at Rome's pontifical universities and the opening of the Jubilee of the World of Education, Pope Leo signed a new apostolic letter commemorating the 60th anniversary of the Conciliar Declaration. It is titled Drawing New Maps of Hope. It acknowledges that we live in a complex, fragmented, and digitalized educational environment, and the urgent need to renew the Church's commitment to promoting and providing a Christian integral education. Catholic education has changed over the centuries, the document states, and must continue to evolve to help young people face the challenges of technology and confusion about the meaning and purpose of life. As millions of children still lack access to basic education and educational crises are caused by war, migration, inequality, and poverty, this work is more essential than ever. Education, Pope Leo writes, must serve human dignity, justice, and the common good. The Holy Father also designated St. John Henry Newman as official co-patron saint of education, together with St. Thomas Aquinas, Doctor of the Church, one of the Church's greatest theologians and philosophers, and patron saint of Catholic colleges and universities, teachers, and students. The designation of Newman as co-patron, who will also be proclaimed a Doctor of the Church on November 1st for his teachings and writings of eminent doctrine, underscores once more the Church's right and duty to educate. After all, Pope Leo recalled, education is one of the highest expressions of Christian charity. In Rome, Benedict Sedegrin for EWTN News Nightly.
Joining us now from Rome to tell us more about Pope Leo's letter is Frank Roca, Senior Vatican Analyst for EWTN News. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Veronica. Glad to be here.
The Pope's new letter is based on an older declaration from 1965, but what are some of the new priorities Pope Leo introduces in the document, given the technological advancements in the last half-century?
Well, one big new emphasis, not surprisingly, is the digital world. He says technology and AI are great tools, but they can't replace real relationships, real teachers, community. He also highlights peace. He wants schools to be places where young people learn how to listen, how to reconcile, how to build bridges. And he says that's something that the world really needs right now. And then there's the inner life. He acknowledges how loud and overwhelming life can be today, especially for young people. So he calls for helping them to rediscover silence, reflection, and meaning. So the core mission is the same as the 1965 document, but the Pope is updating it for our contemporary challenges.
Now, in addition to that, what is the significance of naming St. John Henry Newman as co-patron of education alongside St. Thomas Aquinas? What does that hold for Catholic education today, and why was he chosen for this role?
Well, it's a very meaningful choice. I mean, for one thing, Newman was English. And English today is the language of global education. So right away, he's someone who speaks to the international reality of Catholic schools and universities. It's ironic that the Vatican released the document only in Italian, but that's part of the course around here. Newman was also one of the great thinkers of the modern university, a theorist of the university. He's someone who believed that education should form the whole person, not just produce workers. And he argued that faith and reason are not enemies, but actually help each other grow. So pairing Newman with Aquinas sends a clear message that Catholic education aims for intellectual depth and human depth, mind and heart.
The letter speaks about renewing the Church's commitment to a Christian integral education. What does that mean in practice, and how can Catholic institutions live it out in today's world?
Well, it means educating the whole person, not just filling the mind, but shaping the character, compassion, responsibility, and giving a sense of purpose. So for schools and universities, that means focusing on academic excellence, absolutely, but also building community, encouraging service, helping students reflect on who they want to be, not just what they want to do for a living. So it's education that prepares people to have a career, but also to have a generous, meaningful, responsible life in a world that's very fragmented and anxious today.
Francis X. Roca, Senior Vatican Analyst for EWTN. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, Interreligious Dialogue. The Pope marks a special anniversary from the Second Vatican Council, what he had to say about Catholic-Jewish relations. Plus, Triumph Over Evil, a new documentary, spotlights the work of exorcist priests. We hear from a priest in the film. Highlights the importance of Jewish-Catholic relations, saying that we must not allow political circumstances and the injustices of some to divert us from friendship.
Nei nostri villaggi, nei nostri paesi e nel nostro mondo.
At the Wednesday talk, the Holy Father reflected on Nostra Aetate, the Second Vatican Council's declaration that opened the Church to dialogue and respectful relations with non-Christian religions. He also emphasized that the Church does not tolerate anti-Semitism. Despite misunderstandings and conflicts that have arisen through the decades, Pope Leo said the Church has never stopped pursuing interreligious dialogue, and he encouraged the faithful to continue building bridges of trust and promoting peace in a divided world. A new documentary, Triumph Over Evil, Battle of the Exorcists, premieres tomorrow. It's approved by the International Association of Exorcists. The film explores the reality of demonic possession and exorcism through expert insight and real accounts. Earlier, I spoke with Father Chris Alar, Provincial Superior of the Marian Fathers of the Immaculate Conception, who also appears in the bonus features of the film. So first, tell us a little bit about Triumph Over Evil. What is the film about?
Well, this is the only endorsed exorcism film by the International Association of Exorcists. It supplies us with some seen before footage of Father Amorth, who was a Vatican exorcist. And it's such a reality today, the spiritual warfare that we're all engaged in, that the world, thinks of back to the days of the Exorcist with spinning heads and projectile vomiting, that this is really what demonic spiritual warfare is. But it's a lot more. And so we're trying to raise awareness and to allow people to know that evil, Satan is real, and the battle over your soul is real.
So on that point that Satan is real, of course, the film makes clear that the devil is a real agent, not just a metaphor. Can you speak a little bit more to that point?
Yeah, the fact is, the devil is a reality of Catholic doctrine that has been as a part of our faith for years. It's dogmatic revelation that God created these angels as good before man. But then when God revealed his plan to create man and become one of them, he revealed that the angels, that his son would become one of them. There was a rebellion. And so Lucifer, leading this rebellion, is now taking it out because he can't hurt God. So he takes it out on us who are in the image and likeness of God.
For many, they can be a little bit alarmed when they're hearing this about evil and the devil, of course. But as Catholics, there is no real reason for us to fear Satan. Is that true?
Absolutely. We have to know our weapons. Our weapons are prayer, worship, especially in the Mass. Eucharistic adoration, sacred scripture, the sacraments, and sacramentals. These are all tools that God gives us to be able to fight the good fight. And, I think it was John Bosco who said, the devil's hook can't catch you unless you are already nibbling on his bait. So we want to see that really the decision of whether or not we fall victim to evil and these demonic entities is the choices we make, the decisions we decide to carry out in our lives. And so if we stay in a state of grace and we keep turning to God's mercy, we'll be fine.
Now, for anyone who's planning to watch the documentary, what do you suggest might be some main takeaways that they could be looking out for?
So the takeaway is go to the correct side. You want to play for the team that wins, and we know that's God. So fear not. The Bible says, not to fear 365 times. So we can say the same thing in this spiritual battle as well. But it's a serious battle, and many souls and casualties incur. So we have to be careful.
Father Chris Alar, thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night, and God bless.